Alright, I am here at Base Gym with Australian strength coach Sebastian Oreb, who has just run through his squat session where he did 300 kilos for 5 reps. And what's your body weight at?
103 kilograms currently, but I'm a little bit underweight. I competed at 110 and that's the main goal.
Right, cool. So, we are going to take you through the session from start to finish, and we're going to run through everything that Sebastian does, warm-up abilities, how he approaches warm-up sets, how he approaches work sets, and everything else in between. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Alright, so talk to me a little bit about what's happening here through your warm-up series. You're going through some bird dogs?
Yeah, so this is the first thing that I'm doing. This is based on work that I've done with Andrew Locke, who bases his work around Dr. Stuart McGill. So this is known as the Big Three, which is $500 million of research from Professor Stuart McGill. As crazy as that sounds, but his findings were that when you do these exercises, so that's the big three consists of bird dogs, plank, so this is a rolling plank, so it's front, which is all, I guess, the bird dog is posterior chain, so that's, multifidus, a little bit of glutes and, the erectus spinae muscles. The front plank, that's rectus abdominis. And then we go, so that's 30 seconds there. So then I flip over to side plank. We do 15 seconds here. That's internal, external obliques, but also QL.
Right. Now that's one of the foot positioning. Some people sort of mess up, don't they? Is that particular?
Yeah, I like to have it just stacked on top of each other. That's how I've been taught to perform this exercise. I mean, the main thing that we're looking at is to maintain a straight spine.
Right.
So what's the best way to position the body? You can actually stagger the stance for that, but I don't think it's hugely relevant. Okay. That's just my preferred stance.
Okay. Now, one thing I also noticed when you did the front plank, which I think you might get back into now, is you started rocking back and forth on your calves.
Yeah, so that's just my little quirks, the little tweaks that I include on this one. I just like to move my pelvis around as well. That's irrelevant to the movement actually.
Right.
So
what are you thinking about with your elbows, your upper body?
So what I'm doing here, the objective here is to not have the feet touching and not have the hands touching.
Okay.
So that's the main thing. The little rocking, it's not really a matter of don't do this at home. It's not essential to what I'm doing it. That's just me just feeling it, I guess.
Okay.
But the main objective of the front plank, so I repeat that if you notice. I'll go front, side, side, front, side, side. The main objective of the front plank is to hold the pelvis posteriorly rotated, so we're not sagging and resting on the vertebra.
Right.
We are using the muscles to hold the body up.
Yeah.
So the cue that I like to say is piss up a wall.
Cool. I like that.
Which is posteriorly rotating the pelvis. So the first one was the bird dogs. The second was the rolling planks, and this is the third of the big three. Is the crunches. So if you can notice here, what I'm doing with my feet, I have one foot close to my butt while the other one's extended out, and then I swap. So I go 5 and 5. So the reason why I do that is it keeps the pelvis neutral.
Right.
So when I have both feet straight out, it anteriorly rotates my pelvis.
Yeah.
When I have both my knees bent, my feet up to my butt, it posteriorly rotates the pelvis.
Right.
So when I have one and not the other, it maintains a neutral pelvis.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much do you think about breathing now? So we're holding quite a firm brace and exhaling quite forcefully.
Yeah, so the breathing is not something that I can take into consideration. Perhaps I could.
Okay.
But it's about force of contraction of rectus abdominis, really.
Right, for sure.
So that's why my fingertips, so there's variations of that as well, but my fingertips are up on my abs to feel the brace.
Okay.
Stuart McGill has his hands underneath.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Okay. In terms of, before we go on to that one, in terms of like sets and reps, do you have a set protocol, or do you sort of go by feel as well?
No, that one is a set protocol, so that is basically set of 10 bird dogs, 30 seconds, so the rolling planks performed twice, so 30 seconds, 15, 15, 30 seconds, 15, 15,
right.
And then 10 reps of the crunches.
Okay.
It's about activate, it's about stimulate, it's not about fatiguing those muscles.
For sure. Now what's happening here?
So then I've gone from there, I don't know if you remember, but I did the push-ups, so that's the McKenzie press-ups, that's going into extension. That's kind of irrelevant, that's my own thing. And then I've gone to my series of glute activation series. So the first one, so that's 3 exercises that I do there. So the first one is it's just extension, so holding my hips at 0 degrees extension, which and performing abduction exercises. So basically what that does, they found that at 0 degrees extension, that's when the glutes are most active.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's why you can do that, you know, with your butt on the bench.
Yeah.
Or the way that I did it, I slid my butt off the bench as well. So I'm not only abducting,
Yeah.
but I'm also having to use my glutes to extend the hips to that angle. So again, it's just about activation.
Yeah.
The next thing that I move to is box squats.
Does the band play some matter? Because you had above the knee for the first move, now you've gone below the knee for the
They're all meant to be below the knee, to be honest with you.
Okay, right,
But it's,
right.
it's again, it's no big deal. You know, if you wanted to do it right, they should all be exactly where they are now. The one that I did before that was the glute bridges.
Yeah.
So that's you know, with the extension. So starting, you know, going from flexion to extension, and then abducting at the same time.
Right.
And then the third one was the box squat, which is
Okay.
actually, you know, imitating the movement that I'm going to be doing.
For sure.
So that's the activation's done. Now it's warming up.
Yeah.
So this is, call it what you want, bend overs, touchdowns, I don't know, I'm just squatting. But what I like to do here, the way that I like to teach that is to touch the ground on the inside of the feet. To touch the ground on the inside of the feet, look where my arms are going, they're pushing my knees outwards.
Right.
So
right.
that's the easiest way to kind of cue people to move the right way. A lot of people, when they squat, the knees come in. So that's something that I like to do, and that's the reason why I'm activating my glutes in so much abduction work.
Yeah.
Squatting, that's one of my favorite cues. Spread the floor, knees out, open the hips. It's 3 ways of kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not just, you know, 2-dimensional movement. It's not just down and up. It's not just bum back, bum forward.
Right.
You're spreading the floor, you're opening the hips. It is 3-dimensional. And this is just like, you know, swinging the hips. I guess it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Scientific evidence to suggest that it increases performance, I don't have any.
Right.
But I just like the way it makes my hips feel.
Of course, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
So now I've come up to my first set.
Yeah, with the bar, and you have this this big waist belt on. What's happening here?
Yeah, so for me, that's on really loosely.
Okay.
So a lot of people, they don't use a belt until they kind of need it.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say I don't need the belt. It's not me, it's that way, right? But what I like to do is I like to feel the brace. So that's on very loosely around my guts, and it teaches me to really, it's how I'm going to be using that belt when I'm achieving my top set.
Right.
So I don't need a belt to squat, you know, that's 25 kilogram barbell. I don't need that. But it's just about feeling how I'm going to be bouncing off the belt. So I'm practicing the perfect technique. Yeah, I'm taking the belt off here.
Yeah.
But it's perfect practice makes perfect.
For sure.
I don't care about squatting 25 kilograms.
For sure.
I care about how am I going to get in position when I hit that 300 kilos for 5, which is my top set. That's all I'm thinking about, is my top set at this point.
Great. So hand placement as well. You're going quite wide, obviously. You've got the pinky under as well.
Yeah.
What's happening there? What's the secrets?
So the pinky under, and the wide hand placement. You can probably tell by how stiff I am. I'm not hugely mobile. For my sport, I don't need to be hugely mobile.
Correct.
So I'm as mobile as I need to be. But at this point, this is me warming up my shoulders. I do all this for comfort. I could bring my hands in closer. The cue that I teach is to bring the hands as close as shoulder mobility allows.
Yep.
Okay, so right there people say, why are you using a wide grip? Well, just because it's as close as my shoulder mobility allows. But when I hold it with the pinky loose like that, that's just, it's nicer on my wrist. It changes the wrist angle.
Sure.
And that changes as I get warmer.
So your belt's on now, you've got wrist wraps on now as well.
Yeah. So the wrist wraps are on loose.
Yeah.
Okay, then I can do that without the wrist wraps as well.
For sure.
And as I can do it without the belt as well. And that's on actually a looser belt setting as well.
Okay.
So as it gets heavier, I make it a notch tighter.
Right.
It's just about the feeling of pushing.
Yeah, so it's proprioception and reminding you, but not giving you the assistance that you may need at the moment with that kind of weight.
Precisely.
You sort of save it.
Yep. So I've gone from a barbell, then we went to a red plate. That's so the red plate with those collars are 2.5 kilograms, 25 kilo bar, so that's gone 80 kilos. And I did a few sets on that.
Yeah.
And then now we've gone to, this is 105 kilograms. Again, a couple of sets on this. Something I say, you have to earn the right to add weight to the bar. So I can squat 300 kilos at that point. I know I can because I did.
Yeah.
But I don't deserve it yet. I need for that weight to feel effortless. I need it to feel like an empty bar. The reason why I didn't add weight onto that, because it didn't feel like an empty bar at that point. Now, I'm warm.
Right.
So now I can do just one set, one rep.
Yep.
right? So, I just add 25 kilo increments to get to my top weight and do 1 rep. And it feels like an empty bar at this point.
Okay. So you started wrapping up as well.
Same thing with the wraps. If you notice these wraps, you'll notice later, I changed the wraps. These wraps are kind of like bandages.
Yeah.
They do nothing. It's a lot of warmth. It's kind of like an exaggerated version of a knee sleeve. So it's not huge assistance.
Yeah.
It's more about comfort and it's more about feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't need those wraps, all those belts, all the wrist wraps or any of that stuff. That's 155 kilograms right there.
Yeah.
That's light.
Yeah.
That's half of what I'm going to be doing.
One thing I'm quite interested in is, because I don't know if you saw on that set, as you were getting into the position, you were laughing because Guy was doing some chin-ups. What's your mental state like at this point? You're quite relaxed.
I like to, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I used to have the mentality when I'd come in and train of, full on serious and super focused. It's good to have focus, but it's exhausting. And sometimes I like to have things like that surrounding me to kind of break the ice, to not spend so much energy at this point. I remember actually discussing with you at this point, how ridiculously long it's taken me to get to that point. I've been working for about an hour to get to that point.
Yeah.
We're 5 minutes into this discussion.
Yeah.
But that's an hour of work so far. So it's not exhausting to lift 150 kilograms. It's exhausting the mental preparation. Yeah. Doing all of this stuff that we're seeing, I'm rolling the wraps up.
Yeah, so these are now different wraps, what's happening here.
So now these are the proper wraps.
Yeah.
I've gone up to, I think it was 180 kilograms with the soft wraps. So that's kind of like just a little bit of an extra version of a knee sleeve. So it's not really much assistance. But now these wraps here, these are the heavy duty ones.
Right.
So these are the Rolls Royce. These are stiff. And I use them for the next weight, which is, I believe it's going to be 205 kilograms.
Okay. Again, you still don't really need them at 205?
No, I can. My best squat without wraps is 300 kilograms.
Right.
And that was a long time ago, and I've gotten much stronger since. I just haven't tested it since. So technically, no, I don't need it.
Yeah.
But I like to, at this point, I like for everything still to feel like an empty bar.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to, if you notice, I don't know how much of the wrapping that you film here, but that was 8 revolutions on this one. I get up to the next sets. I get up to 9 revolutions, then 10 revolutions. So I make it tighter and tighter as the weight gets heavier.
Right.
So if you look at the speed of each weight, they look pretty much identical to each other. So the speed that I go, not only do I go down, so I come, if you notice, even the lightweights, I like to come down in a controlled manner. Yeah. Because I like to control the weight, exactly how I'm going to be controlling the 300 kilograms.
Now, in terms of like wrist wraps, it's getting tighter now as well, and also belt, is that still the same, or is it getting tighter? What's happening with the belt?
Let's see. So if you look at the notch there, I've got 2 holes that are still visible.
Right.
Right. So it's not the tightest setting yet.
Okay.
So it's still moderate. Like, trust me, there is a little bit of support there. Do I change it? No, I don't. I'm just tightening it there. Yeah. So that's still not the tight setting.
Yeah. But still, the thing is, like, you wrap the wraps yourself as well. Yeah. It was on your own. It wasn't assisted just yet.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm still doing that because when it comes to the crunch time, the 10 revolutions is what I do on my top sets. Right. It's actually very fatiguing on the fingers. Right. Yeah. And so when you're actually wrapping yourself, it can be done. Trust me, it can be done. But it's unnecessary fatigue on the hands, and you're actually grabbing onto that barbell. And when your hands are fatigued from wrapping, you don't want to be holding on to anything.
For sure. Which is why you now got James jumping on in.
James is the man when it comes to wrapping knees. He's very methodical with his approach with everything. He takes his job seriously, and he's been wrapping my knees since I started wrapping my knees in competition. I fly him down to all of my competitions because I need him, specifically him, to wrap my knees. It is
a very specific technique. And one thing, I don't know if it's actually relevant or not, but he would wash his hands. He would wet his hands.
Yeah. So it's not about washing his hands.
Yeah, it was actually wetting.
He's a dirtbag. He's wetting them. That gives you better grip.
Okay, to grab onto it because he is going super tight now.
Yeah.
Is it 10 revolutions now, or is this 9?
That's 9. Okay. So this is, I believe, I got in for 3 sets here. My top set and my 2 last warm-up sets. Yeah. So he does 9 revolutions on the second last warm-up. Yep. Which I believe is 255 kilograms. So that's 9 revolutions. That's still not as tight as they go. But the reason why I get him to do 3 warm-up sets, I want them to be, all I care about is the top set.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want his hands to be as fresh as possible for that top set. But here's the art of it. His hands need a warm up to get it perfect.
Right.
You know, because a lot of so that's why I give him 3 opportunities. The first one is kind of like a looser one.
Okay.
And then we've got 1 shot to go as tight as you can. So I don't need it as tight as we can.
Yeah.
But because it's the last warm up, I want to feel exactly how it's going to feel on the top set. So that's
Sure.
we got there 255 kilograms, 9 revolutions. The belt is on full tightness there, and the knees are 9 revolutions. Trust me when I say this. Anyone who knows knee wraps and knows wraps, 9 revolutions is tight.
Right.
But I've developed. So now we go 10. If we watch how he does it, like watch how much time and precision. That's the best knee wrapper in the business.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you look at it and you think he's just putting it on. That's not what happens here.
Right. It's very specific.
Very specific and a lot of practice to what he's doing. You know, we got this is Alex the God Simon behind me putting.
Yeah. World's greatest, strongest chalk putter runner.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't get stronger chalk putter runner than that, and that is a fact. But it's more about the moral support, I guess. He's there, he's the strongest, one of the strongest athletes that I've had. Him and he's up there with Thor. Obviously, Thor is the strongest man in the world. But Alex the God Simon, the guy's a freak, and he's a pure athlete. But when it comes to this stuff, he just wants to give as much love and support that I give to him. So it's just so great to have all these people around. Like that's my last warm up. That's 280 kilograms.
Okay.
To be honest with you, that felt like shit.
Okay, interesting.
that felt like ass just then.
I'm curious what's happening right now, because last it felt like shit, now you're sitting there, you're getting into the zone, you've got this big set coming in about 10-ish seconds. Yeah. What's happening in your mind?
So right now, it's like I'm telling myself, I needed for that, as dumb as it sounds, it was good that it felt like shit.
Right.
It's like,
wake up call.
All right, dude, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You need to switch the hell on.
Right
now. So that was definitely a wake up call. I've been there before.
Cool.
I know I've trained for this. I know I'm ready for this, and I'm very scared because that's 300 kilograms, and I've got to do it for 5 reps.
And let's see what happens with this.
Let's see what happens. Let's go.
Alright, so we've just gone through that 300 kilos of 5 reps. Tell me a little bit what happened in that set. What did you think of it? How did it feel? Were you happy with that, or the performance of it? What's going on?
Okay, so the last time I did that weight for 5 reps, I was 7 kilograms heavier.
Right.
So I knew I have confidence with my squatting ability. I knew I was strong enough for it, but I was scared shitless.
Okay.
So coming into it, I knew that my set before that was 280 kilograms, and it didn't feel amazing. So it made me switch on, which was a good thing. And then when I did the first rep, I was happy because I knew I had it after that first repetition.
All right.
So it gave me confidence. Second rep, it gave me confidence again because it was a great second rep. Perhaps it was a little bit too much confidence because the third rep, I missed it. So if you look closely, if anyone rewinds back, look at the third rep, broke form a little bit.
What happened specifically in the form?
So for that type of weight, something that's really, really important, something that I talk about is precision. So you've got to imagine, like you've got a dartboard, you've got to hit that bullseye every single time at this weight. So this is, triple body weight now.
Yeah.
Anywhere outside of that bullseye, even if it's like a millimeter outside, it makes that rep a little bit harder.
Right.
So I'm talking, that would have been so small, how far off bullseye I was, but I felt it.
Okay.
My knees came in very slightly as a result, so it shifted slightly, which again, these are little wake-up calls, but that's what's going through my head. My torso folded as a result of that.
Okay.
So it's precision on the eccentric
So did you think you rushed down too fast on the third one, and then as a result of that, you lost knees, you lost torso?
Exactly. So something that helps. So this is the law of kinetic energy. Fast down equals fast up. If you're a tennis ball.
Right.
We're not tennis balls, right? So we have a lot of muscles and we have a lot of structures and joints and spines and all these muscles that need to be held tight under load. In particular, 300 kilograms. So in theory, if you can hold tight and nail it, fast down does equal fast up, but you need that precision. So I got confident from the first 2 reps, so I started building momentum, building confidence, and went to smack it. Missed it.
Okay.
Slightly.
Because I mean, you managed to get the full set.
Yeah, I managed to get the full set. And I've got a lot of experience with squatting as well. Like when I say experience, it's not just at these heavy weights, but every single time I come under that barbell, you'll see from the warm-up sets how seriously I take it. It's the same setup every single time. Perfect practice makes perfect. So this is what I'm practicing for. That's the precision that I'm practicing for. It's not just about warming my body up. If it was about warming my body up, I'd go for a jog around the block and come back. But that's not what it's about.
For sure.
Okay, so I've done many repetitions and practiced that precision so many times, which contributes overall to the skill of squatting heavy weights. Not just about being strong.
Definitely. So overall, you're pretty happy with that?
I am stoked with that. That was the goal. So next week, tomorrow I go to Iceland for Thor's powerlifting competition. I won't say it's his first. He's done one long time ago, 2011. Okay. So it's back 7-8 years ago.
Pre-Sebastian.
Yeah, exactly. Much before me. And so now it's his proper people are considering it his powerlifting debut. Okay. So before I go to Iceland, something about coaching guys that are twice the size of me and twice as strong as me. It's my own personal goal is to achieve these numbers, so when I walk over there they know, so this coach who's telling me what to do, he knows what's happening.
For sure.
He knows what it feels like. He knows the pain. So it's empathizing with your athletes. He knows the pain that I'm about to go through. So when he tells me to push, I'm going to push.
Yeah, that's really important. I think people overlook that from a coaching perspective, or
definitely
empathetic relationship kind of thing.
Absolutely. So when I'm coaching someone like that, I'm scared shitless to coach the strongest man in the world. Imagine telling someone like that to do something, and they look at you and it's like, why should I? To have that level of strength, it allows them to take your word for it and have confidence that you've been there, done that.
Definitely.
And also, coaching other athletes at that level as well. It all comes down. It all contributes to being listened to from a man at that level.
Definitely. So it's a big respect thing because you've been there and done that. Is that part of what went into why you chose 300 for 5 at this point, as opposed to, because you got an actual powerlifting meet coming up next year in about, how many weeks away is that one?
So that's going to be, I believe, so it's March 17, so maybe it's about 14 weeks away now.
Right. So would you normally hit this kind of number, this kind of intensity at 14 weeks out?
I'm ahead of schedule, definitely.
Okay.
And I know that because I'm going to Iceland, we're also going on a bit of a family holiday, so I'll have I'll be training over in Iceland, but then I'll have a week off.
Okay.
It'll set me up from a very good level to have a good 12-week prep leading into competition.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, my system, I've explained it in the last podcast that I had with Mark Tobre. I don't do the percentage thing. I do the pretty plates and even numbers.
Yes.
So 300 kilograms kind of sounds cool. Don't you agree?
Definitely.
And for 5 reps, it's a pretty cool number as well.
Very round number.
Yeah, even though that's the only odd number that you're allowed to do. Well, ones, 3s and 5s. 7s don't count. 9s, who does that?
Nine is like you're a weird stoner at that point.
You can't do 9.
No.
Yeah. So it's kind of the cool number, and that was the logic behind 300 for 5, going to Iceland. I'm ready to coach Thor.
I love it. Fantastic. Yeah. So the next step is the powerlifting prep, which we're going to do our best to be covering a lot of through the next year as well. Awesome. Which should be fantastic.
Love to do that.
See you all next time.
Hope you enjoyed.
Sit your butt down as you are doing. As you're doing that, I want you to push your knees outwards against the inside of your locked elbows. So those have to be locked. So you're squatting a little bit too deep. So I want you to pull your shins back. That's too much. Bum down, knees out, shoulder blades down, and push the world away. Good. Again, drop. See how your feet have rotated outwards? That means they're touch and go, okay, when we're learning the deadlift. So we start here, open the hips, light tap, and go. Light tap, that teaches the body where we are here is where